Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio. I'm Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK, and our show today is Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn, a show about nothing. What does that mean? That means there's no script, and that my guests and I will just be having an authentic conversation wherever it is that it goes, it's where it goes, and it's out there forever. We're thrilled to welcome back from Canada a guest that we had on very recently who shared some really interesting and powerful things when it comes to writing, as well as podcast hosting, as well as mental health awareness. Let us welcome back author and YouTube host, Randi-Lee Bowslaugh. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello. Nice to have you in my virtual living room here today.
Nice to be here.
So I see you've got purple and black there, which I shared with you. Purple's my favorite color. And I've got this kind of white, boring background. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, the white's making you pop because you've got like the black dress with the red lipstick. So you're popping on it.
Okay, I like it. I'm popping. And you look great in your environment. And just wondering, is that soundproof?
Yes.
Yes. That is so cool. That's what I need in my other studio. Is that a big deal to do?
No, I just what's the word I'm looking for? Used a staple gun and stapled them on.
How long?
So I mean, there's oodles of holes on my wall now.
If you're going to sell, then you're going to have to patch up, right?
Yeah, it's a good thing I don't plan on doing that anytime soon.
So you're in Canada. Tell us, why are you there? How long have you been there?
Well, born and raised. So I live only 20 minutes from actually where I was born and raised. So same region, but different city. So actually it's funny because my husband has been like, well, over the years, he's always been saying it, but more and more he's been saying, hey, we could just move. He kind of wants to move to the States, and I'm kind of like not opposed to the idea. But my grandson lives here. So
oh, that's a tough one.
Yeah,
for sure. Have you been to the States before?
Oh, we've visited there lots of times. We actually got married in Vegas.
Oh, I love it. That sounds like a movie.
It looked like a movie because it wasn't like one of the drive-through chapels. We actually got married in the desert, so it looks like a backdrop.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is it like anything from the Hangover movies, if you've seen them?
I don't know if I have.
You've got to see it. You've got to see it.
No, it's actually out past where they filmed The Hills Have Eyes. So
okay.
So it's out in those big deserty hills.
That's amazing. So you went to Vegas, and did you like it? Thumbs up or thumbs down?
Thumbs medium.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It was cool. It was very cool, but it's not something that I'm like raring to go back and do again. Like I'd much rather go back to Cuba before I go back to Vegas. But I mean, the States are so big, right? So I would love to like check out California and Hollywood and Nashville and like all of those places. And I've never been to Disney World either. So.
Oh my goodness. Well, I was just in Orlando this week, and my mom's like, "You're going to Disney World?" I'm like, "No, absolutely not." Because I've been there so many times that if you've never been, it's really a cool experience.
Yeah, my husband's been once when he was younger with his family, but yeah, I've never been there. Although I think if we went to Florida, we'd be more going to Universal over Disney.
Okay.
My kid is like obsessed with Harry Potter. And so is my husband. He's read all the books like a bajillion times. I could take him or leave it.
There is a cool Harry Potter ride, which I just remember. I think you're on broomsticks and you're kind of free swinging back
Okay,
and forth.
that's kind of cool. I would do
Yeah,
that. That's
yeah,
cool.
I would recommend that. So, if you were to leave Canada and your grandson maybe somehow would be going with you, I don't know. What do you think you would miss the most about Canada?
Huh. Yeah, the only thing I would miss is my grandson because, like, I don't like the snow. Our healthcare is not all cracked up to be. Our education system isn't all cracked up to be. I do like my part-time job, so I'd miss them. I have some friends here I'd miss, but the actual, like, place itself, there's really nothing here that is like, "Oh my gosh, I love so much."
I really appreciate that you said that because I think sometimes we get just so heads down and thinking of making a change becomes overwhelming. But yet,
Mhm,
when we take a step back, it's like, well, what am I really kind of holding on to? I don't know.
right? Yeah, just simply my grandson and then my handful of friends. Like, I don't have oodles and oodles of friends. I don't have time for that. I have a couple really good ones, which I mean, with the internet now, I would stay in contact with anyways. Um, yeah, so there's not I wouldn't really be leaving that much. Like I said, I really do like my part-time job. The girls there are fantastic, but ultimately I can do my real job from anywhere since I write books and I host YouTube. Like I can do that from anywhere. My husband's a mechanic, so there's
It's
always cars everywhere.
always want a mechanic that's good for sure. Do you want to share a little bit about what you do part time?
Yeah, so part-time I work in an office at it's called Apex Driving Academy. And so that's a local like Niagara region business. Sometimes people will call. So I work in the office, so sometimes people will call and they're like, "Oh, do you do Toronto?" I'm like, "No, we're local owned and operated. We're not a big conglomerate." So I work in the office doing paperwork, answering phones, that kind of thing. And all the ladies in there are fabulous. I really enjoy hanging out with them during the workday.
Wow, shout out to Apex. Is it APEX?
AAPEX.
AAPEX. Sounds like
Yeah.
a great place to work.
Yeah.
Great
So
testimonial.
if you're in the Niagara region and need a good driving school, I mean, that's the one to go to.
So you also mentioned about your full-time job. So for people who are just getting to know you for the first time, you are an author. You're also a YouTube show host. Tell us a little bit more about those.
Yeah. So I'm an author. Those are my books in the background there, if you can see them. So I published my first book in 2017. It's a collection of poems about mental health. And then I've also done some other mental health books and some kids' books. Right now, my newest one comes out May 20th, nonfiction again. And then my YouTube show is all about mental health. It's kind of a theme in my life, right? So it's called the Write or Die Show, right? Like you're writing something. So funny. And I interview other authors and we talk about mental health.
And Randy Lee, as you know, because I think we've discussed this before, there's millions of podcasts out there, right? What do
Mhm.
you think differentiates you with your podcast and your platform?
Well, me.
Of course.
It's very conversational style. So there's never preset questions, kind of like what we're doing now, right? It just, we go with the flow and kind of see where the conversation takes us. And it's all personal perspectives. So it's not to say I haven't had doctors on the show, but they've also written books. And I don't let them talk about patients, like stories about them. Obviously, there's confidentiality, but like it's all personal journeys and what works for them. Because the idea is that, if it worked for them, it might work for somebody else. I mean, it's not going to work for everybody, but maybe even just one other person, they can find something that they're like, hey, I'm going to try that. That'll be great.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. And I want to talk a little bit about something that you just shared. So, you don't use a script. We don't use a script here. Sometimes, and this is not just the podcasts or live broadcast world, sometimes people want that security of having something in their hands that they can hold on to and refer to. Do you think that has to do with confidence, or do you think it has to do with a fear of failure? Or maybe it's both.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with maybe it's both because especially when you're newer at doing it, right? So before I have a guest come on, I do make them do pre-questions as like a screening to make sure that they fit the theme of the show. Um, And if the person is newer at interviewing or not as confident in their ability to answer the questions on the fly, I will go, hey, so in your questionnaire, you mentioned, and that often brings them back around to feeling more confident. So I think it is a lot to do with confidence and just knowing what's about to happen, especially, I mean, my show's about mental health, so I get people on there who have super high anxiety, and it's like, if they don't know what's gonna happen, then it's very stressful.
Yeah, that's a really good point because if we are prone to being anxious about certain things and then we're in an unfamiliar environment, that could make the anxiety level go up. Is there
Mhm.
anything that you found in your experience because you also are being interviewed, right? You interview and you are being interviewed. Are there any things that we can do before we are interviewed, whether it's on a platform like this or we go for a job interview or whatever it might be, networking event? Things that we can do so that it doesn't matter who the audience is, it just matters that we feel safe in our own body.
Yeah. It's funny actually that you go even at a job interview because in my old life, I was an employment counselor. So I used to actually help people prepare for interviews. Um, and that's what it is. It's practice. It really is practice. So you don't have to wait till the actual event to practice beforehand. So with interviews, if you know where you're going to go and interview, so whether it's a show, and for me, because I have pre-questions, they can kind of look them over and prepare themselves. Okay, these are the types of questions that might be asked. Even though it's interviews, it's conversation style, this is kind of what to expect. And same with a job interview. In a job interview, you know they're generally going to say, tell me about yourself. Why are you good for the position? Gr- Greatest strength, greatest weakness, that kind of thing. So you just look at yourself in the mirror, find a friend, a family member, and just practice. Record yourself practicing and then watch it. Be like, okay, I could make this better. Because I think it really just comes down to practicing. Just like when you go to write a test, you study first. Interviews are the same.
They are the same. I was married to a recruiter, by the way, many, many years ago. But I always heard that it's kind of like a marriage, that you're putting a company and a candidate together. And is
Yeah.
that going to be a good marriage? And just get your opinion about this. Sometimes I feel like, let's say it's a job interview. We want something so badly, but maybe it's not the right fit for us. Maybe we're just
Yeah.
like, oh, I need the money. I need to make a change. And we're kind of like, I want this, but the universe is saying no. Do you think that's possible?
Oh, 100% it's possible. I used to have people come into the office all the time, and I would always say, okay, what kind of job are you going to look for? And this happened a lot with the older generation there. They go, well, I've always been a framer. I go, okay, so that's the kind of job you want? Well, I don't really like it. Okay, so is that then not what we're looking for? But I know how to do it. Okay. And so they would just kind of talk around my actual question of, is this what you want to do? Because they need the money, like you said, they have the skill set to do it, and they might be scared to try and look for something else, even though they really don't like doing what they're already doing. So, in that way, it could be the universe telling them, hey, you know what? You don't like this job. Maybe it's time to find something else, even though you have the skill set. And the skill set can often be transferred to some other kind of job.
Great point. And we do have a comment from someone on LinkedIn, Aaron G. LO from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Thank you
Ah,
for having me.
yay, another
One of
Canadian.
your, yeah. Has Aaron G been on your platform?
I don't think so. I'm in Ontario, Canada, so a few provinces over, which is quite the distance.
Not a
But
bicycle ride.
no, no, not even well, I mean, it could be a car ride, just a really long one.
For sure. So, Aaron, maybe you should get on to Randi-Lee's podcast or come onto our platform or both. We'd love to have you. Question I have for you: when you're doing your interviews, do you typically do them in person or are they all virtual or some combination thereof?
They're pretty much all virtual. I have done, I think, just one in person because I knew the person and they lived in the same area as me. But really, they're all virtual because I get people from all over the world, like I'm sure you do. My favorite ones are really the people from like all over. I've had like Spain, Australia. The other week I did somebody from India. So it's so cool when you get people from all over the place.
It really is. And Aaron followed up with another comment. It would be a pleasure. All right, Aaron, there you go. Invitations, offer accepted. So we're looking forward to having you. I also think it's interesting that people can be proficient and really good at more than one thing. So,
Oh
for
yeah.
example, you have your part-time job, you have your writing, and you also have your podcasting, and you're good at all three of them. How do you divide up that mental space to give it focus to each of these areas?
Oh, that's a great question. I've never thought about that before. I think for me I like doing lots of different things. I like changing it up. Which is why I write different genres too, because just writing in one genre to me can be very tedious and boring. And I think it really is each person's different way that they like to experience life. Is I like different things. I like to try new things. Like when I wrote my first book, I had no idea what I was doing other than I know how to write. And I had to get somebody else to format it and make the cover and do all that. Now I'm like, I feel I don't know if you noticed, but my cat just jumped at the door back there. But now I feel, with all the practice I've been doing over the years with my other books, I love the feeling of being able to format it myself and make the cover myself. And it's just, it's so cool to be able to say, hey, I did that. Like the whole thing, I did that. But for some people, they're like, no, I don't want to even try that. It's boring to me. So I think it's just every person kind of finds what they like doing, and I like doing it all.
And I really appreciate that. A question I have for you, because this was posed to me. I was told by a man, I'm going to say 4 or 5 years ago, that because I'm doing so many different things that I didn't know what I was doing. And I really took offense to that. I thought,
Yeah.
why are you saying that? Because I do know what I'm doing, but I like to do more than just one thing at a time. And that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So, to all those naysayers out there, what would you say to them? I love it.
Short and sweet. Again, I think everybody is different. And so there's going to be some people that can excel and do well with doing multiple things because that's just how their brains are wired. And for some people, it doesn't work well and they just want to focus on what they're doing. And that's totally fine too. So to the naysayers out there, yeah.
And I also think, in addition to that, that it's also that people are afraid. And when they see someone doing something that maybe they're interested in, but they're afraid to get out of their comfort zone, they kind of want to put you down.
Yeah, that's actually, I think there was some study I read when I was writing one of my books around the topic of bullying. And they found that bullies often said, like verbal bullies, often said the things they said because they wanted to make the other person not be able to succeed because they just weren't doing it. Don't ask me to find the results or anything because this is years ago and I'm totally paraphrasing. But yeah, it was around that along those lines.
Along those same lines, I was just at a conference called Women on the Move, and a topic that came up, and I'd like to discuss it with you, is that I know I'm going to be 60 at the end of this month. In my 60 some years, I've had a number of women who gave me a hand, helped lift me up, but a number that had the dagger. No, no, we want to see you crash and burn. So,
Mhm.
how do you feel? How can we celebrate women and lifting each other up and taking each other to the next level if we're at the same time hoping that we secretly fail?
Ooh, that is a loaded question. First, I'm just gonna say thank you, Aaron G, because I see that he's saying that we have a priceless discussion. So I love that. Thank you. Um, but yeah, so there's definitely, and I feel like this is very high school like, right? When you watch the movies in high school, you always have like the mean girls putting everybody down. And then you've got, the people that are like, what? Why are you being so mean? You're such a mean girl. And the thing is, we think of it as like a high school kind of time, and yet there's adults that kind of just keep doing it. So I think that you're never going to please everybody. And you're never going to get along with everybody in the world. So if you run across somebody who is putting you down, who's saying, oh, why would you do that? Or you're doing too many things or whatever it is, what I say to them, other than is, okay, bye. I don't need you. Bye. Because you don't need that in your life. You're going to find people that appreciate you for who you are and will pick you up and lift you up. You don't need all the other people. And eventually, I feel like they will realize that people are leaving them because they're just negative, and nobody wants that in their life.
Yeah, it's so true, and I appreciate you sharing that. We're getting a number of comments from Aaron G. Thank you for engaging with us.
Yeah.
Here's one comment I just want to share also, I think is really important. Sometimes the focus becomes more about financial survival than focusing on career, so it fogs the judgment on what they should do. That's so true. It comes into that fear factor. How can I give up the money? I know I left corporate in 2020, gave up 6 figures, gave up the health insurance, which is a huge give up, I'm telling you right now. Health insurance is so expensive in the States, but yet I wasn't happy. My health was going, hello, we're not happy here. So you move forward and you find your passion, you find your lane, but you do have to make a sacrifice, in air quotes, sacrifice. What do you think?
Oh, for sure. I had lots of people when they would come in and say, well, this is what I know, so I'll get a job faster and I need the money. And I can totally appreciate that. If you need the money, I'm not going to sit there and tell you no because you don't actually like the job. No, you can't go do it. I used to say to them, okay, great. So let's find you a job. But you know what? While you're working it, don't forget about what you actually want to do. Don't forget about your dreams. Because just because we're doing a job to make money, and I definitely have been there, done that. Me and my husband, we always seem to take turns in our early years. So we've been together, this year will be 16 years. And I would say in the first 7, 8 years of our relationship, one of us was always out of work. It was so frustrating. One of us would get a job and the other would get laid off. And I'm like, how is this even happening right now? So I definitely can appreciate, I can't move from my job right now because I'm the only one making money. But that's why when I released my first book in 2017, I was working full time as an employment counselor. It was a lot of hard work to be able to, do that on top of working full time and having kids and doing all that. But it wasn't impossible, just really hard. So if there's something that you really always wanted to do or try, don't think of it as impossible. Maybe just really, really hard, but not impossible.
I really appreciate what you shared and what you went through. And I'm just wondering if you can think about this for a minute and share with our audience the financial piece of it. Okay. At the core, I think most of us have a fear that we're not going to have enough money to pay our bills or to do this or to do that. But how can we reframe that? And I learned this since I started doing this platform. And the universe will come to our answer. Yes, universe, send us money, send us healthcare. Do you believe that that's possible if you really put your trust into a higher power, into the universe, and that the money will come?
Yes and no. So I say yes because I really do believe that there is, for me, that there is God and that he will provide given time. However, I also think that you have to help yourself. You can't just sit on the couch and go, I really, really want this to happen. It's not going to work. So there is a little bit of both there. I do think that, things that are meant to happen in the way that they're meant to happen, but we also have to try. If there's no try on our part, the universe or God or whatever it is that you believe in can't help you.
Yeah, so true. And I'm thinking about when you were writing your first book and all the things that you had on your plate that you were managing. Did you ever have a fear that, because I had this doing a radio show while I was working full time, I had a fear that I would be caught, that I was doing the radio show and someone might say, oh, she's not putting all of her eggs into our corporate baskets. And we don't like that. Did you ever think that at all?
No, I was lucky that everybody I worked with at the time was like, "Oh, you're writing a book. That's super cool. Awesome." And a lot of them bought it once it was published. So, I think the corporate world though is a little bit different, a little bit more tricky where they really do want you to focus solely on what it is that you're doing for them and you don't have a life outside of them.
Very true. And Aaron G, we really do appreciate you. I'm trying to keep up with the comments. Mental preparedness to challenging a new endeavor. It's very true. I think if you're open to succeeding at something, and I always visualize it, what does it look like on the other side, that you'll get there. Now, in all honesty, I do not make the kind of money that I used to make, and I don't have the healthcare that I used to have, but I am happier than I've ever been. And I can't wait to get up in the morning and get behind this green screen and do the things that we do. So I think that's kind of priceless. But other people, believe me, have come to me and said, are you sure you know what you're doing? You're not making that kind of money. And I hear that. Oh, it's usually from men, by the way.
Yes. Yeah, my husband is very driven by how much money he can make. Because in the mechanic trade, right, it's piecework. So you get paid for the amount that you actually do. You're not paid by hours. So he very much has always been that way. But I keep going back to this, everybody's different. And it's so true. Money means, a lot to some people. It means very little to other people. And like you said, you're more happy now than before. I'm more happy now than before. So I think that's what really matters. And if you're more happy staying in a corporate world or whatever, because you do make the six figures, then great for that person. Right. And it goes back to what you were saying of, well, why are we pushing some people down and pulling up other people? Everybody is different. Let's pull up everybody based on what it is that their spirit and their wants are, right? If somebody wants to be in that corporate world making six figure, awesome, because somebody's got to fill that job. So I'm so glad that you are willing to do that, because I'm not. So you are so good. And just giving that positive feedback a little more often.
Yeah, really great points. And another comment from Aaron G. No worries, you epic spirits. Supporting is what I do. Thank you, Aaron
Aw,
G.
sweet.
That is really nice. Oh, hello. Who do we have here?
This is Mr. Fuji. So you can see the door behind me is cracked open now because he knows how to open it, even though I close it and try to put something in front of it. So he can't because he's a troublemaker. He'll try to rub up against everything because he just loves the love. He's a big sucky baby, though.
What type of topics does he like to speak on?
He really likes talking about kitty treats. Wet food is a hot topic for him. He really enjoys that. The lack of treats that we give him, because healthiness is important, but he doesn't agree.
He wants that instant gratification, it sounds like.
He does. He just doesn't understand waiting for things.
Randi-Lee, we're joking around, but I want to get to a serious subject, which is mental health, because as you know, working with people all the time, it is a topic that can't get enough attention. I really feel like, and we've got a number of shows that are about mental health here, and people are constantly coming forward. How do you feel that the work that you're doing and you've been doing, writing and hosting, has impacted your mental health?
It's been like a coping strategy for myself, actually. So when I released my first book, like I said, it's a book of poetry. And those poems were actually ones that I had written as a teenager during my first kind of bout with depression, my first go round with it. And I wrote out all of the very horrible, bad things that I was thinking about, and putting them together. And I wrote kind of a beginning, introduction, and conclusion. Putting all that together was so cathartic. I didn't think it would be. And so when I published that, then I got the publishing book. I'm like, I want to keep doing this. And starting to talk about it more and more has been very, cathartic is the perfect word for it. And then when I hear other people saying, posting on my show or coming on my show going, this is fantastic, I'm so glad that you're doing this, it makes me feel really good.
As it should, absolutely. And I applaud you for doing that, because I feel if more people come forward and share what they've been going through, then it makes someone else think, you know what? Wow, I'm not alone. I've shared I have ulcerative colitis for 30 some years. It's a disgusting disease.
Ooh.
But as a result, other people come forward and they talk about it. So I feel like that's a real gift that you've been given and I've been given, and a number of other people as well.
Yeah. Well, and that's just it. I have that gift, like you said, to talk about it, to write about it. So instead of hiding, I'm going to talk about it so that other people who maybe aren't in a place to talk about it, or, not everybody wants to. And that's, again, totally fine. But even if they can hear what I'm saying and what my guests are saying and your guests are saying, then we can, make the world a little bit of a better place. Normalize the fact that some of us have mental health illnesses. Like, we don't have to be good every single day. It's exhausting.
Exactly. And you don't have to have a t-shirt on that says, I have mental health issues, because I think there's
Right.
obviously various degrees, but I think all of us question ourselves at some point or other, the decisions that we've made, the way that we're feeling, how we showed up or didn't show up for something. And we've got more comments from Aaron. We love you, Aaron. Thank you. I've lived with PTSD for over 20 years, celebrating that mental health has come more to the table.
Yes.
And also, there is no shame in reaching out.
Yes.
Yeah, agreed. What about having pets? Does having a pet, something you can touch and hold, does that help bring comfort?
Yes. So I now have 2 cats on my desk right now. So this one over here is Black Cat. And then Mr. Friggy, the one you already saw. And they are just, I grew up always having cats. Now I also have dogs as an adult, and they're fabulous too. But growing up, I always had cats. So when I was feeling the worst, I would grab one of my kitties. I had 2, and snuggle them and love them, and keep them from running away from me. But no, my cats were always snugglers. They enjoyed being loved. And it's so calming. As with cats, the purring sound for me is so calming. It's so amazing. If you're more of a dog person, dogs are great because they make you go outside. You have to take them for walks. They need it. And so having dogs has really helped me to make sure I go outside every single day. My one dog will not go number 2 in the backyard. He'll only do it on a walk. So rain, snow, ice storms, doesn't matter. We're going outside.
Is there a different kind of love that you get from a cat or a dog, or because I've
It's
never had
totally
cats?
unconditional. It is so unconditional. Even cats, when they're in their mood, because cats can be very moody, they still love you, especially if you offer them some treats. Then they're going to be your best friend forever. But it's totally unconditional love from them. They don't look at you and go, oh, you have a mental illness, I'm not talking to you, right? Or when you're succeeding, they have no reason to tell you that you can't do that. They just come over and they just want love, and you give them love and they give the love right back to you.
It is so beautiful. I don't have pets anymore. I had 3 dogs. They all passed away, but
Aw.
it was fun, except walking them. People are like, she's the crazy dog lady.
I have 3 dogs as well.
Do you walk them all at the same time?
Not I did for a little bit by myself, but they're a little hard to handle by myself. So usually me and my husband will take them together. So it's like a 1 person and then 2 dogs for the other person. But we have a small, medium, and large. So we have a beagle. She's quite small. She's like smaller than your average size beagle. And then we have a lab, which you would think would be the large dog, but no, he's medium. Because we also, and the puppy is now almost a year and a half, and he is a shepherd mix husky. He is the large dog.
How many pounds?
Last we went to the vet, he was around 80 something.
Oh,
Yeah, he's a big boy. Yeah, and he's still filling out because he's still a baby.
So hence the soundproofing.
Exactly. Yes. Now if I can just get my door to latch shut all the way, that would be great. And it's so funny because this door, I don't know what happened. We didn't replace it or anything, but this door used to stick closed, and now it won't stay closed.
It said, you know what, I had enough of being closed. Like, people, I'm tired of being closed off. I'm opening up, and it's stepping out into the light.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
I want to go ahead and share your website, if that's okay with you.
Of course. Yeah.
Fabulous, because there's so much content here. that I think people need to take a look at this. So your website is RB Writing, RBWRITING.ca. We did walk through this on our other show, and we have new people joining us all the time. So let's do the same thing, Randi-Lee. Tell me where to go.
So this is just the welcome page, a little bit about what you'll find here. And then you can join in the newsletter on the side there.
By the way, tell us about what you're wearing here. Tell us about your fashion on the red carpet.
Okay, so that was my first book release. There was a little book release party, and that is a dress from Zayre's.
I don't think we have Zayre's here in the States.
Oh, really? Okay, it's a grocery store that has clothes in it too. So what's their brand name? Joe Fresh is the brand name. So that's my Joe Fresh dress.
I like it. Sustainable fashion.
Right? And the funniest part is that the night before the event, I was like, okay, I know what I'm going to wear, whatever. And I tried on what I was going to wear. I'm like, oh crap, it doesn't fit. So the only thing that was open at that time of night was Zayre's, because they're the open late grocery store. So we went there and I found that dress and I'm like, this is perfect. So I got it.
I love it. And then what about the tights?
So the tights are those like super soft ones, which I love. They're Posh Gal, I think I got them from. So they're super, super soft ones. I loved them. And like I used to wear them all the time, like different colorful ones. And then I just have like some regular high boots on to, round it all off.
Very nice. Making a statement.
That's right. That's what I'm here for.
For sure. By the way, I think we saw somewhere on here. Okay, well, I'll wait until we get there. Where else should we go?
Let's go to books.
Okay.
So there's the nice little drop down. Let's go drop down nonfiction. And let's go to Goodbye Too Soon, because that's my newest one.
Right.
So this is the one I was saying comes out May 20th. It's on pre-order right now on Amazon. If you go there and pre-order it, please do.
Tell us about the cover.
So the cover, and like I said earlier, I loved being able to say I did that. So I actually made it, which was
nice.
So much fun. And so the book itself, I have to tell you what the book is so that you understand what the color is. The book is about my brother's death by a drug overdose. May 20th was chosen as the release date because that will be the 2-year anniversary of his death. And so the cover there, I chose Goodbye Too Soon because obviously we had to say goodbye to him, and he was only 37 when he died. So that's far too soon. And his favorite color is red. So that's why the red is there. The urn there, the black urn, is actually the one that he's buried in. So it was so hard finding a picture because at the time that we were burying him, I wasn't thinking, oh, I'm going to write a book and I need a picture of this. So I had to Google it, and I did eventually find it, but it took a lot of scrolling. And then the nice shadow there, I figured, again, relates back to who he is. And he was a very big guy, very tall, muscular guy. So the shadow there, kind of symbolizing that, yes, he's gone, but his spirit is kind of still here helping us. Yeah, so that's that. I don't have a picture of the back of it, but actually I have it here if you can kind of see it.
Let me spotlight you. Hold on.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So because it was a drug overdose, and when we went to clean up his room, and I talk about this in the book, there was so many used needles. So that's there with the little drops, and then the ribbons for drug addiction and overdose. I threw on there as well. So the back also has a little bit of importance as well.
Such a personal journey and story that you're sharing. How do you feel now that you've written it? It's going to be available for other people to read about it. Is it kind of a cathartic, or is it a celebration of his life?
Both, actually. It was super cathartic for me writing it. I got out a lot of emotions, different ones, from, the sadness, the grief of it all, to being pissed off. Like, I was mad at him. And actually, when we buried him, and this is in the book, I go into more detail. I don't ruin it all for you, but I yelled at him. I had a little baby sister yelling fit at him as we buried him because I was so mad and upset and sad and every other horrible emotion you can think of because he wasn't supposed to be gone yet, right? He was supposed to get better, right? And I was you were supposed to, but he wasn't. This was the plan for him, I guess, and I think he always wanted to help people when he was alive. So I thought, you know what, you can still keep helping people. You didn't quite manage to do what you wanted while you were here, but you can still leave something behind.
So it sounds like this book is your way of helping him help others.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really phenomenal. And you said it's available May 20th?
Yes. Pre-orders now, and then you'll actually get it on May 20th.
All right, people, please go over to Amazon and pre-order Goodbye Too Soon. Here it is. Now it says Amazon.ca. Is it available on the other Amazon platforms?
Yep.
Yes.
On
Okay.
worldwide.
Fabulous. Okay. Where else should we go?
My cat keeps knocking things. So let's go over to let's check out the blog. Yeah.
Okay. Should we go to reviews or on writing?
On writing. No, reviews. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Just go back. All right.
So I do oodles of book reviews, and I love them. So these are all the different books that I've had the pleasure of reading over the last almost 2 years now. And so if you're ever looking for a new book, this is a great place to go and check it out, to check out all the different book reviews. And on one of the shows that I was guesting on, I don't think it was with you, I think it was a different one, but they were talking about book reviews and how sometimes people can be really mean when they write them. And so none of these are mean, but they are still honest and true. So what I mean by that is it is hard to put yourself out there and write a book, whether it's a nonfiction or that one that we were looking there is kind of like a, I don't even know, like a creepy sort of suspense one. And it can be hard to put it out there. Definitely not. It is hard to put it out there. So whenever I write a book review, I always want to give, the good side of things. But also, sometimes I'll point out, hey, they got some grammatical errors. That sucks. You're going to lose a bit of stars because of that. But ultimately, it's hard to put it out there and hope for the best, really. And there's going to be some books that don't hit, what I like, but that doesn't mean that somebody else won't like it, which is why I always try to do it in that positive way. So, I think this goes for everybody whenever you're giving somebody feedback. And we have talked a lot about putting people down or bringing people up. When you are writing a review for somebody, whether it is a book review, a work review, a review of a product that you bought from them, even if it did not meet your expectations, you don't have to rip that person apart. You can still say it in a nice way. So even the books that I thought were really bad, I still say it in a nice way because it is hard to put yourself out there. Just like a business. If you go to a dinner, and we went to a restaurant not too long ago, and the food was very subpar for the price that it was. But I'm still not going to rip them apart. I'm going to say, you know what? It didn't meet my expectations. Here's what you could have did better to make it awesome. Thanks for the opportunity, right? And that's, I think, what we need to get more of is that positive way of giving negative feedback.
I really appreciate that because we don't want to just take someone and knock them down even further, because if someone's really feeling that badly, they might not want to make the change. They might not be interested in moving forward because now they feel like they're just a complete zero.
Exactly. And I think there's some value in everything for everyone. You just might not have hit the right person the first time.
Now, for authors out there who want to have you do a review, what's involved with that? Can we go on your website and sign up, or?
Yeah, so you can go on the website and there is a contact form. So if you go to the top, there'll be contact. So if you go there, it'll be able to send me an email and you can say, hey, I'm interested in getting a book review done. And then I'll send you, reply back to you with kind of the how it works kind of thing.
And what's the time frame? If you were to get something, let's say this week, how quickly do you turn it around? And where do you post the reviews?
So it really depends on how many books are kind of in the queue of reading. So right now, the wait would probably be about 2 months, I think, just because I got a whole bunch in to read, and I try to do at least one a week. Sometimes I get more done, but reading a book can take time. And then it posts on, well, obviously my website there. I post the blog. I also have a podcast where I talk about it, and it's called What I'm Reading. And I do a quick podcast version of it for some people who maybe can't read it. They can listen to the review. It'll go on Amazon, Goodreads. Then I'll post it across my social media, my Instagram. I started doing it on my TikTok now. And then they can obviously share it out on all their social media too.
Fantastic. Well, I'll be reaching out to you for that. That's for sure.
Excellent.
And we do have a comment from a Bobby Lee. Hi, Bobby Lee on LinkedIn. Good morning, my Canadian brother, Aaron Gibson. So I love how you're connecting here with each other. So, Randi-Lee, it is time for us to close up shop for today. I have completely and thoroughly enjoyed this conversation, having you in my virtual living room. What would you like to leave people with today?
So I think the biggest theme that we've talked about, and I think I would love to leave them with, other than go subscribe to my YouTube channel and pre-order my book, a little selfish promotion, is that don't beat people down. There's enough of that in the world. Try to lift them up. And what's that saying? If you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. Well, maybe you should just.
Now, if people want to be a guest on your show and have you interview them, what do they do?
So go to the website again and you can send me an email through there and just, say, hey, I'm interested in being a guest on the show.
And also just to reiterate that people can be anywhere in the world. It doesn't matter. And they can be a guest on your show.
Yes, that's the best part of it.
Fantastic. Well, thank you again, Randi-Lee, for being here. For people who can't read the banner, can you just read off to them how they can connect?
Of course. So my website, rbwriting.ca, and then I put my TikTok handle on there because I'm a little obsessed with it. So my TikTok handle is at Randi-Lee Bowslaugh. But you can find me on Instagram and Facebook as well.
Fantastic. Thank you for another fabulous interview and for being here. And I'll see you backstage.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Thank you. Bye for now. Thank you, everyone. I just want to share with you our next show is coming up. It's Talking Heads with our expert presenter, Caroline Heward, followed by Your Story, Your Grief, Your Journey. And then our last show for today is Stories of Hope, Inspiration, and Overcoming Adversity. Please do subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is USA Global TV and Radio. If you want to be a guest on our show, please go over to our website, usaglobaltvandradio.com. Thanks for now. We look forward to seeing you back here again shortly. Bye.